Don't you think that the government did not operate under the guidance of the law?
If we channel our energy and our own resources into other means of generating power,
Where is the subsidy you are removing?
and I will tell you categorically that since last week Tuesday, making 10 days now, put together I've not had up to 10 hours of light.
Hello viewers and welcome to today's episode of Naija Uncensored. My name is Johnson and I am your host on today's episode. This program is where we leave no stone unturned on those political issues, government policies, its effect on the people and many more. And on today's episode, I'm not alone as I have in the building a very important personality, a grassroots activist on good governance, no other person than Mr. Ajulo Temitokbe Samuel. You're welcome, Mr. Samuel.
Thank you very much, Johnson.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
It's really a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure is all mine.
All right, without wasting any much of our time, let's delve deep into the reason why we are here on today's episode, which is the hike in the electricity tariff. All right, proponents are of the view that this hike is necessary and ideal to foster development in the sector and at the same time infrastructural development in other sectors. On the other hand, we have critics who are of the view that this is not right, that the government should rather look into ways to take care of the inconsistencies and the problems of the sector rather than increasing the tariff, meaning increasing the tariff is not the way forward. So we'll be looking at this and many more on today's episode. I'll be right back. Let's take a look at this clip.
The power sector is quite unique compared to all the other sectors because everybody is affected by electricity. Every household, every business, every institution, be it health or educational institutions, and every industry is affected.
Mr. Samuel, having listened to the power minister, what then do you think is the responsibility of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission? I don't know, it's like they are, mixing each other's...
The sole responsibility of the NERC is to protect the interests of the customers, issue license to operators and investors, and then set and review electricity tariffs, and also promote competition where and when necessary. So going by the speech of the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, it's a total deviation from the law according to the Electricity Act of 2023. It is not in the office of the Minister of Power to have anything to do with electricity tariff, whether there is a reduction or there is a hike in it. It is the office of the NERC to do that.
Are you trying to say that the power minister is leaving his, should I say, his field, his area of concentration and delving into another office and their responsibility?
Obviously, in the same world, in the western part, it can be termed as an abuse of office.
Of office, right.
He has his own duties as the Minister of Power, which actually tied him to the implementations of the federal government of Nigeria. Then NERC is another office under the Ministry of Power. They are the ones that are actually tackled with the responsibility of electrical tariff or whatsoever. It is not in the office of the Minister of Power to do that.
I feel the question right now should be, what are they actually doing? Why are they that relaxed, allowing the power minister to come out and make such pronouncements?
Exactly like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's more like an abuse of power. Yes, the Minister of Power has the autonomy over every other subjugate under him, but it doesn't mean he should limit the activities of the NERC to whatever he wishes. Do you understand? Yes. In this situation, we don't expect an outburst from the NERC towards the Minister of Power because he's already exercising his own power over them, which is not supposed to be like that.
So I'm looking at the Electricity Act. He said under the Electricity Act, this hike cannot be justified. Section 116 draws more light to that. Don't you think that the government did not operate under the guidance of the law? I know you were trying to make some clearance on that.
Yes, the government have not operated under the guidance of the law. According to that section 116 of the Electricity Act 2023, before there could be any announcement on hike in electricity tariff or whatsoever, the licensees, that is the discos, the investors, the operators, they should have made a proposal to that effect.
Okay.
And this proposal needs to be published in the Federal Government Gazette or a wide-faced public newspaper.
Okay.
And this is for the interest of stakeholders and consumers in case there is a counter opinion or conflicting side to that proposal. And if there is, it should also be publicly debated.
Okay, okay. Talking about that, you made mention of the discos. You know, there's been lots of drama over the years where we've seen NEPA, we've seen PHCN, and we've seen the discos now. So I want to actually, and I know people out there too want to know, what actually is it with the name change? Is it, I just want to know, what do you think, what changed? Is it just the name, or there's been some kind of change internally?
Year in, year out over the years, either it's a name change, either there's the failure in the power grid or whatsoever, or even the hike. Yeah. The same excuse they've been given is about effectiveness, which we have not been seeing. I think the last time Nigeria experienced stable electricity and effectiveness under the power sector was during the era of PHCN. Okay. That is the Power Holding Company of Nigeria. Yes. Because they are the only sector under the power sector ever since to have attained a level of self-sufficiency without depending on the government for anything. Okay. And when the pressure was mounted on the federal government for the privatization of the power sector, the federal government bowed to pressure, and then the discos came in.
Okay. So let me just get this right. You know, we are looking at what the power minister said in that interview, and I really want you to give us a clear picture or a clearer picture of the responsibility of the power minister, since it's as if you know, he doesn't know his field of work.
By constitution,
okay,
the role of the minister of power is to implement the policy of the federal government of Nigeria in respect to generation, distribution, and transmission of power nationwide.
Okay.
It is not in its own position to mediate or deviate into the activities of the NERC, though the report comes to him because he oversees the whole sector. Okay. But it is just like the CEO of a company. You own a company, you are the CEO of a company, you employ a manager, and you are still doing the job of that manager. Then it's more like you are putting people just as figureheads in offices and positions without being functional. And that is what is being expressed here.
Okay. Are we saying the office of the Minister of Power should actually house all these other responsibilities that we've given to the national electricity?
Exactly. The office of the Minister of Power is supposed to house all this stuff like it is. That is the main function of the office of power, because whatever has to do with electricity, power supply, also needs to be faulted if there is an issue to the office of the Minister of Power. But at the same time, for every section under the ministry, there are duties, there are functions.
Okay.
This particular hike in electricity tariff is a basic function of the NERC, and it is not expected of the Minister of Power to deviate into it.
Okay. That's viewers, you've heard what Mr. Samuel Temitope Ajulo is have had to say about what we are discussing. I just want you to go nowhere, because we'll be right back, because we have more things to talk about pertaining to the hike in the electricity tariff. We'll be right back. In 2021, the federal government announced the electricity subsidy will be ended, and in about March 2022, the federal government, through the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Ahmed Zainab, announced publicly that the electricity subsidy has been removed. And now this is 2024, and there's been lots of conflicting figures coming from the IMF, the Ministry of Power, and even the Commission itself. So I want to ask, what steps do you think can be taken to put right this whole drama? You know, it's scary figures out there.
The figures are actually scary. And this is actually, it's a wide study, because the IMF coming with a figure of 2.3 trillion, the Commission itself, NERC, come with a figure of 3 trillion, and then the Ministry of Power come with a figure of 600
Everybody
billion.
have their own figures.
Conflicting figures. So it shows that these funds are being mismanaged and misappropriated within the agency. And to cushion this event and to avoid the continuity of such conflict, I think it's high time the federal government stand their ground against the pressure of the IMF and World Bank.
Okay.
The pressure is already rising for a total removal of subsidy on electricity.
Okay.
and the federal government are gradually falling into the traps and plays of the IMF and World Bank. That is what is happening right now. Like Femi Falana-San argued, why are the IMF not fostering pressures on European countries that put subsidy on almost everything, even food?
Even food, yes.
Why is it Africa? Yes. First, it was the oil and gas sector, and now it is electricity. And now this subsidy issue has created a whole lot of justification of incredibility, because the removal of subsidy is what led to the classification of consumers into band A, B, C, D, and E. I can't imagine in a country where we promote legal rights and equal rights, some set of people are enjoying 20 hours of light per day, while some are enjoying way below 8 hours per day. It is not done. And then the IMF itself had representatives recently in Nigeria, still to pressure the federal government to take off the remaining subsidies. So even if it is being taken off now, other bands will have to face the same hike in electricity tariff, like the band A users are currently facing. So what I would just suggest is to ward off the pressure from the IMF and the World Bank.
Talking about the involvement of the World Bank and the IMF, don't you think is as a result of we as a country running back to these people for grants and loans and the likes? Don't you think these are just ways or measures the IMF and World Bank and the likes of them have or put in place to recover back their loans?
Exactly. There is no way you want to put it. That is what they are doing. But Nigeria has the capacity to pay back its loans if we focus our attention on other places. Okay. We only depend on hydropower to source for light, to source for electricity in this country. And gradually, we are soon going to land into trouble with that anyways. We have overlooked other means of generating power, other like the gas means and every other stuff, the coal, the mining. There are many means we can generate, the bioscience and stuff, but we don't look into it. We only face hydropower. And come to think of it, the hydropower is still coming to a close because of the recent sanction of ECOWAS on Niger Republic. Because there was an agreement on our light issue. That is story for another day. But currently, the IMF are putting this pressure so they can recover their loans so fast. But if we channel our energy and our own resources into other means of generating power, then we can actually save ourselves from the pressure of the IMF.
Okay. That being said, this issue of subsidy is generating lots of buzz. I know we woke up a few years back to subsidy, and most of us back then don't actually know that there's something called subsidy on almost some things that we consume. So now, as far as the federal government, as far as they know, the subsidy ended in 2022. That is very clear. Because if Ahmed Zainab can come out publicly to announce that this has been removed, that means totally it was removed. So I want to look at, do you think now that the federal government are making the people, the users of this electricity, to pay for the inconsistencies and inefficiencies of the overseers of the sector?
If an announcement was made in 2022 by the then Minister of Planning, Ahmed Zainab, that subsidy has been removed.
Yes.
And since then till now, there is no prior announcement that the subsidy has been reversed again.
Yes.
So I don't see us removing another subsidy again since it has been removed. So the issue of subsidy is a total sham.
The question now should be, where is the subsidy you are removing?
That is the gimmick they are playing on Nigerians. There is no subsidy to be removed. The people are being made to pay for the inefficiencies of those in power sector. It's more like the Minister of Power working with the NERC to help raise money for the discos.
Okay.
The analysis is they need 3 trillion naira to balance the grid so that there will be an efficient power supply.
Okay.
There is no 3 trillion to be given to them. What do we do next? Let's task the consumers.
Now, is there no other ways to generate such funds rather than going back to the people?
Exactly. The discos were said to be privately owned. Since there's already privatization in that department, in that aspect, the Minister for Power should have aligned with these discos to externally source for funds and not allow the federal government deviate into their issues. That is where the confusing aspect comes from. They are independently owned, they are private.
Yes.
Why is the federal government still aligning itself with them? And now they are at the loss. They've run into debt. They need money. Why are we being made to pay for their inefficiencies? And that is why I say argue further that this hike in the tariff for band A users will still spread to other band users.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, they are looking to raise 3 trillion naira.
Yeah, because I was going to ask how long are they going to sustain?
Did you get the total expected funds from this hike for band A users will arrive at 1.6 trillion, leaving them with a deficit of 1.4 trillion.
Where is it
Who
going
pays
to come
that?
from? You're right.
So with time, it will extend to other band users.
That's very right. With time, it will extend to other band users. Now, we don't talking about band A, band B, but I know the people don't actually understand what they mean by band this and band that. Like, what is band? I don't understand.
It is just discrimination of rights, segregation of status. It is just like classifying the rich from the medium, average, and from the poor. That is just it. Because if you tell me band A is enjoying 20 hours because he has money to afford it, so you can't give band B more than 16 hours because that's what you can afford. You can't give band C, D, or E more than 8 hours. Because that I live in Ikoyi doesn't make me rich. And you have already put me on band A. How do I survive? That I send Abule Egba doesn't make me poor. And you are putting me in band E. I have to spend money on combustible energy to power my generator. So these are conflicting issues that should have been addressed. How many distribution of meters do we have? Probably that's why they came up with the fact that only 12 million Nigerians have access to power.
I was going to ask, where did they get those figures from?
Probably they distributed only 12 million meters in a country of over 230 million people. So which means 12 million of us are servicing the remaining over 208 million. Because a lot of people still connect their life directly. Some pay, some don't pay. And even those that pay, they just pay summarized figures.
Because I was going to ask, I know if there are meters and everybody have their own meters that, you're paying for what you're consuming. For example, if you have your fridge, you have your AC,
whatever,
your appliances and all that, you know that whatever you use is what you
are paid
for. So there's, at any time, there must be check and balance. Okay, I've used so amounts today. Okay, this is where I need to slow down. This is where I need to continue. So I feel we should take a look at...
The problem is the Ministry of Power does not have a regulatory database to register these stuffs. Because aside you even having the meter and buying these units, what is the assurance that you will still get access to the power if you are not in band A? Okay, for example, myself, my own area, I think I'm under band C or D.
Okay.
Probably about 12 or 10 hours light daily. Okay. And I will tell you categorically that since last week Tuesday, making 10 days now, put together I've not had up to 10 hours of light, which means I barely have 1 hour of light per day. And I have over 800 units on my meter. So I've been running on fuel since Tuesday last week till now. Despite that I have enough meter, I have enough units on my meter. But because I'm in band C or band D, I don't have access to that power. And then somebody in band A that only has 100 units will be enjoying light.
So that's where it brings us down to trying to find out where they actually got these figures from. Because we can't, in a country of over 250 million people, you are telling me that we have only 12 million electricity customers across the country. So who exactly came about these statistics? How did these statistics come about?
Firstly, it's a very shameful thing for the Minister of Power to come out publicly and give such figures. Giant of Africa, with over 230 million inhabitants. You're telling me we have only 12 million subscribers to power. And out of these 12 million, you are telling me 1.5 million are exclusive band A users. The remaining 10.5 million belongs to other bands that also deserve light. That means approximately 99.5% of Nigerians are in total darkness, if you align it in that way. This just shows how inefficient their distribution is in terms of meter usage. Okay. And it is just a deep corruption within the sector. Even some agents forces you to pay for this meter, which is supposed to be given for free. Do you understand?
Yes.
Let's leave the elites. Let's leave those that can actually afford these things. What do you want to talk about the woman frying bully on the roadside? What do you want to talk about those Loma officials that sweep for a bigger amount every day? What do you want to talk about the street hawkers? Do they have access to these meters? Do they even know what these meters... Where is the sensitization to the people on the importance of meters?
So sensitization of people in the importance of meters. So we'll be right back after this break because I want us to take a look at some other factors that have been causing a buzz on the internet pertaining to this hike on electricity. We'll be right back. In one of those people who have been very vocal in this administration is the flag bearer in the past election for the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. You know, he's been very vocal, and this time around he's come out to say that the problem of the power sector has taken way too long to solve. We know Mr. Peter Obi, I know in different areas he has come to agree with the present administration that yes, this is a move in the right direction, especially in the issue of removing subsidy from the petrol. You know, so he said now that he's not happy that this power sector, this power problem is taking way too long to solve. So I want you to touch that. Is it actually, is there problems, is there things you feel should have been done earlier than now to have taken care of this whole problem before now? Yeah.
I agree with Mr. Peter Obi on that point, that it is taking too long for the power sector in Nigeria to be revived.
Yes.
See, over the years, we've spent way above $50 billion on the power sector.
Okay. And
this is where we are. We are still struggling. Egypt spent less than $1 billion in 2 years, and they could raise 14,000 megawatts. Nigeria, the giant of Africa, even though we are being proposed to be able to raise 22,000 megawatts, we are only suffering with little above 4,000 megawatts after investing over $50 billion. Where are we heading to? A total wrong direction. It was NEPA initially. NEPA wasn't sufficient enough. The federal government took it over, became PHCN. PHCN had these hardened staffs, had people with experience working consistently over the years until PHCN became self-sufficient, and there was a balance in that line. What should have happened is for the federal government should have maintained this set of people. If PHCN was still in existence till now, the power sector in Nigeria would have been a joyful thing to know about. But along the line, the pressure was mounted, PHCN was sold out, it was privatized, the discos came in. And even the incompetencies of the discos made the discos also to be taken over by banks and armed cons. These people are just friends and colleagues of the people in the power sector. They're just doing paddy business. Definitely, because the money they will be squandering from it, they can't squander it when it was PHCN, because PHCN wasn't taking a dime from the federal government. It was self-sufficient, but they need that federal government reserve to butter their pockets. So now we have this set of inexperienced people in the power sector handling our power sector. Congratulations, we have been pushed into further darkness.
That is very absurd. So what do you think the government can do to provide solutions, lasting solutions, not just solutions, lasting solutions to the problem of the power sector?
You know, a problem that has been lasting 60 years, nobody picking play again. But to be very, very factual, I think this is the high time for the federal government itself to raise an awareness for the state government in each geopolitical zone to support and invest in the discourse within their region.
And this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Naija Uncensored. I am your host, Johnson, and I'm saying don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all socials. Until we come your way again, stay safe and stay informed. Adios.